Welcome to the Evening Review. My name is Ovaherero. Joining me in studio is Mr. Olsen Kahiriri as we reflect on a number of issues that have been prevalent on the Namibian landscape. But before we go into that interview, please have a look at the front page. Welcome back to the Evening Review, Commissar.
Thanks for having me. In these difficult days of COVID.
Yeah. Before we go into the nitty-gritties of the interview, I just want to know, how have you been and what have you been up to of late?
No, I've been around. I'm running things. I'm taking care of myself. I have moved into business industry and I'm around.
So, Commissar, Namibia is set to ratify the 1.1 billion euro genocide package in the next month or two to come. Your thoughts on this package?
Yeah, it's not a package, actually. It's a disgrace that we have to reduce a blood of more than 100,000 Namibians who died at the hands of the Germans. We reduce it to a package that is equivalent to Bayern Munich, a football club in Germany's monthly bill of staff and football players. Whoever has agreed to that disgrace agreement does not understand what is money. He doesn't understand what it is. The figures in the 18 billion, the zeros that are aligned to that amount, vis-a-vis what transpired. Because we must be able to understand that this, you can't price the life of a person. But life of 100 people, 100,000 people, who died 110 years, what they could have been or what they could have produced at this level in time or what they could have become. You can't price it. And one should also understand that I'm fortunate that I've studied law, and what we are busy trying to achieve through this lousy, useless government is the aspect of restorative justice. It's a legal process. It's allowed in law. But we as a government has not even adopted restorative justice. We don't even practice it in our justice system. Now, when I unpacked what restorative justice, for those who does not understand the legal processes, is a process where you get an opportunity to rehabilitate the perpetrator. For instance, you rape someone, and you go to jail, and in jail you have accepted your wrongdoing. that I've done someone wrong. So this process is used to bring the parties together. The one that is the victim and the perpetrator together in trying to heal the process. Because the perpetrator has done the victim wrong, and the victim will be left with a scar. It's not about you going to jail alone. There must be a process of a healing that should take place. Now, when you speak about that healing process, it's a voluntary process for the two parties. So, if I am the perpetrator, I must accept for the wrong things I have done, first of all. And then approach the other party through a mediator, a middle person, that tries to bring the parties together for the healing process. It's a voluntary process, as I have said. But a third party cannot compel these two people to go through the healing process. Now, if the perpetrator says, I'm sorry, I've done you wrong, is there a way that I can heal the process that you are finding yourself? That becomes the victim to decide what is the appropriate remedies I deserve to understand that you seriously has done me wrong. If it's payment, for instance, we agree to 18 billion as for me to be in a healing process through your actions. I decide what I do with the 18 billion.
Yes.
And I should propose that 18 billion. And nobody can come and tell me what I must do with the 18 billion. Now, we see a deal that is on the table that everybody is talking about. And our government, time and again, we have said it, it's an arrogant government. People are in the street complaining that we are not happy with what we have agreed. This government says, whether you want or not, we are going to have this deal done through. We are going to push it using 2/3 majority in parliament, threaten and bulldoze whoever is a member of our structures to have this deal signed. And you come and tell me, this is my government, which has my interest. Ami, Umbahamamba, Ami, Omuthia, Wakahivetha. Kahivetha, Ngwarambere, Ombengu, Morushanjarwe. We know where the farms are. We know where the farms are. So the government must not come and undermine us. We are the descendants. I was not supposed to come to your show. That's what Fotrota said. I was not supposed to survive. Maybe the Germans has forgotten who they were dealing with. They wanted to wipe us off. But here we are. And if our government wants to stand between us and those who have done us wrong, maybe it's high time that we challenge this government.
Extending the conversation talk a little bit. You know, you've got descendants in South Africa. You've got descendants in Botswana. You know, what about them now?
You see, the Jewish Holocaust, Germany that time did not also have powers because they were defeated, and part of the agreement that they were given was to repay what they did to the Jewish. But what I want to understand is the Jewish issue, the government, the Israel government, was at the discussion. And the affected communities were also at the table. The Israel government benefited from that negotiations. And the communities benefited directly, even though it was not the same amount, same discussion. But I do not blame the Namibian government. They have mothered and fathered the affected communities for years. They're entitled to their share. Maybe it's what they have negotiated, but that's not our money. There's nothing to do with us. Maybe that's what they have negotiated for fathering and mothering the Namibian people. Now the Botswana government, that is also hosting
Descendants.
the descendants, then they are also entitled to negotiate with the German government. If that's the arrogancy of the Namibian government's stand on this genocide. Because you cannot negotiate. I come from Okonjatu. And the road between Okahanja and Okonjatu was already approved as a government project. That road has been postponed and postponed and postponed until I die. But the one to Omuthia, still on. The one to Malala, wherever, those roads are still there. You have built them with taxpayers' money. You want to use my name to negotiate a deal, to tie a road to a Konjatu that you have already approved with the tax that I have paid for years. So the road to Okonjatu can be incorporated into the reparations of my forefathers' blood. It's wrong. Are you going to tell me that government is going to suspend its responsibility to take care of where I come from? If indeed whatever you have negotiated is in my interest, I decide what I do with it. It can't be right that the people in Cameroon, the people in Angola, the people in Botswana, and the people in South Africa, who are descendants from the affected community, which is the Hereros and the Namas, are only given reparation to tie a road in Okonjatu, where they do not even reside. Who does such a thing? Who agrees to such nonsense? I can put it as nonsense because the leading negotiator in the name of Gavire does not represent me. I am from Ovaherero Traditional Authority, OTA, and my paramount chief is Advocate Lekwiru Koro. I have not seen him in this structure. We have a genocide foundation through the OTA, led by my peer, Nandi Wathora Madengo, who's the chairperson of this committee, which was chaired by the then last chairperson, Dr. Esther Munyangwe.
Yes.
Where are these people? Where are they? Then you come and say, you are representing me. You are representing your evil agendas. Because we must also understand certain things. The Namibian government is one of the governments that no one can trust. It has ministers who are in jail for more than 2 years now. Close to 2 years now.
Former ministers?
Former ministers. One who has forfeited millions to have these negotiations done, apparently. And that money, we do not know even whether it was for the intended purposes of this amount. But they have negotiated. This guy is in jail. We have a government, as we read time and again, every day in the newspapers, that we read in the papers that front page every day, money stolen, no accountability, audited report in municipalities are as useless as they can be, and the country is bankrupt as we speak. Now we want to use reparation to recover financially. I tell the Namibian people that whatever amount we negotiate with the Germans through the affected community is going to benefit this country. And maybe our people do not understand the finance aspect. I was fortunate to have worked in the banking sector. When the money hits Namibia, we are looking for trillions of dollars. We are not looking for peanuts. If Gaviro wants 18 billion, that's up to him. We are talking about trillions. That is the value of our forefathers' lives are. We are not even thinking of the farms. We know the farms. They have fence now. But it will cost me $150 to go and buy a tank and cut those wires and move into those farms. The things that we are talking about, they are not in Germany. The land that we have lost is not in Germany. And there's no German who came by boat with land. But they are sitting on it. You understand?
Yes.
So tell your government that they must not provoke us. Because a tank is very cheap to buy. And the farms, we know where they are. And we can invade them. So the German government must remember that what happened in 1904 to our forefathers was not light. And if they take it as a dustbin discussion, we can go back to 1904 and deal with the Germans one-on-one. And if our government also wants to be on their side, they will be the casualties in our actions. Because we have been too complacent with this government for a long time. And the likes of Hage, with their puppets in the Swartbooi structures, being used with a carrot stick to provoke us, must not dare test us. Because I was not supposed to come on this show. I was supposed to die in 1904.
Commissar, what would you say is the recourse? Because the lead negotiator for the German government, the statement that he made, and I'll not be able to say it, I'll not be able, pardon me if I do not say what he said, but there was a sense of saying that, the reconciliation should not be based on conditions. That's one thing. Or it's as if it's to say that, if we make reconciliation efforts, both of us should come to the party. Number one. Number two is that this deal has an expiration date, and that if the Namibian government does not sign this deal, it's taken off the table completely. What is the recourse?
You come and raid me in my house, then you come and put conditions. Today, 110 years after what you have done, and then you want to say that's restorative justice. The Germans must go to hell. If that's the attitude that they have, the conditions that they are going to put, maybe they will put it with Hage or whoever, not with me. Not with me, who has my children who are robbed from the wealth of this country. Not that arrogancy of the Germans came from 1904. And if they are serious with restoring what they have done, they must respect a person called Ovaherero. My blood. I have a German Herero Nama blood in me, in my veins, because of what happened in 1904. So whatever that guy you call, whoever he represents, must come and speak to me through my chosen representative, which is the OTA paramount chief, or whoever he appoints, because that's my voice. So he cannot come and tell me, who's Hage? Who's Hage? He is apparently born under a tree. And a person who's born under a tree cannot act as arrogant as he is acting currently. Because we are sick and tired of these things of trying to be nice. People are telling us to be diplomatic, diplomacy. Diplomacy has put us in the situation where we find ourselves. My leader from the LPM, Honorable Swartbooi,
Yes.
said it time and again. He warned the Germans, do not give any reparation money to this corrupt Swartbooi government. And it is corrupt. Now, how do I trust my generational wealth that was stolen in the hands of a thief? Just tell me. Whoever is doing these things, history will judge you. And we are not in a hurry to sign any agreement with the Germans. But it's the
Namibian government that will sign the agreement after the process goes through parliament.
Namibian government. My friend, I'm not a Namibian by accident. I'm not a Herero, Nama, German by accident. It's by actions that happened in 1904. So if you say it's my government, bring my representative on the table. If you say you are my government, if you are representing the people in the 4O region, go and represent them in Gulumbashe, where 600 people died, and you give them an honor and give a day to honor that event. Today you are saying you are the leading you are leading the negotiations, you are leading everything, but to date, 110 years ago, as a Namibian government, you have not recognized genocide in your own country. And you are, come on, these guys are not serious. You have not accorded a day where you remember genocide, and the whole world is watching. The whole world is saying that what happened in 1904, we are shocked to hear. But my government that you are saying is my government.
Our government.
It's your government, maybe. But don't include me in that government if it does not even respect what happened to my forefathers.
Commissar, moving on to other matters on the local front. Recently, we had an incident in which your party leaders were dragged out of parliament. Whatever the case or whatever led to that incident, what does that seem to reflect if the presidential bodyguard is allowed into the chambers? And do you believe that those two parliamentarians pose a danger to the president's life?
Who would pose a threat to a dead working person? Who? These people are on medications. They are on life survival, whatever you can call it. They are in ICU. The moment you just push them like this, they are dead. Who wants to harm such people? The problem we have in this country, if I disagree with you and I ask radical questions, I'm being classified as a bad able in this country. What actually happened? We are told that members of the LPM torn national documents. What is a national document? I would understand if someone has torn money or torn the Namibian Constitution. Those are national documents that you are speaking of. A Harambee prosperity plan is a Hake toilet paper. It's not a national document. It has not given us anything for the time that he has been in office. What did we benefit from it? Country is as bankrupt as it can be. All we read every day is loans, loans, loans. No innovation is coming out of this government. And now because these people are saying, the head of administration, Usara Kukongelwa, there's allegations of a farm deal. President, yeah, go, the person sits here. Why are you not asking that person? You are the chairperson of the cabinet. You are the person that we have entrusted this country into. All you do, come on. That's not leadership. Leadership would say, I will look into it and do an investigation and set the minister aside. I don't regret what the leaders of LPM did in parliament. They didn't do anything wrong. They didn't pose any threat to anyone. But now we have the Kashavivi, who's an old school friend of Hake. He even told me, I had an engagement with Kashavivi. He even told me how Hake was bullying them in the rivers in Okahanja. The guy is just a pure bully. And now because they are old friends, he got fun to the bullying, and he didn't see it funny what happened in parliament. And funny enough, the president of the country knew what will happen in parliament. And that's why these bodyguards were ready to move in. If it was not a planned thing, what were those bodyguards doing? So it's an action that was planned in order to paint LPM bad.
But the president, would it not be a standard operating procedure that the president is always followed by his bodyguards?
My friend, when you are in parliament, there are rules and regulations. I know to the Swartbooi corrupt government, rules are nothing. It's just written on paper. But parliament has rules, of which you are accusing the members of LPM to have violated. There are rules. Does these rules allow your bodyguard to come and push elected members of parliament out of it? Manhandle them? Does the rules allow that? Now, who's above the law? The Indian Constitution clearly stipulates that no one, even Hage, is not above the law. Now, why would you? You see, people do not understand their actions. Hage is not an ordinary person. He is the head of state. He is the commander-in-chief of the army. Now, if he's the commander-in-chief of the army, and he threatens a member of parliament that if you behave like that way, outside, I will deal with you. That is a person that has the command of an army threatening people that I'm going to deal with you. What is that? That is telling the soldiers that wherever you find Honorable Swartbooi and Honorable Seibeb, deal with them. And the bodyguard just reacted to that. That's dangerous. And I don't know who advises these people. And it's sometimes very dangerous. You must be careful who advises you. Some people wear skinny clothes and move away from being a man to a woman. They can't advise you because, first of all, they have psychological trauma within themselves. Then they are the one advising you to do these bad things. I don't know. But we have serious issues in this country. We have serious issues. No wonder we are pushing, we are leaving the genocide issues and pushing for legalizing laws that are taboo in our culture. We have, this country needs healing. It needs rehabilitation. And it starts from those people. And we are not going to do anything to them. We just allow nature to take its course.
Commissar, your party, you want two seats on the City of Windhoek Council. Although you are not party to the coalition agreement, which I presume has not been signed yet, What are you happy with what has occurred as far as the city of Windhoek is concerned in terms of what the new mayor is pushing for, what the new management council chairperson is pushing for, and the overall direction in which Windhoek is moving as a city?
One thing you must understand in this show, I must not be quoted wrong. What I'm saying is not the version of LPM.
Yes,
because I don't speak for LPM. I don't carry leadership structures within LPM. But I have an opinion as a member.
You stood last year.
No, I'm a member of the party.
Of course.
So I'm entitled to an opinion. And the rubbish that we are seeing in council at this moment in time, where apparently there's a coalition which has not have even been written on black and white for too long, an institution being run without a CEO. On my personal level, I have clients that are engaged with the city of Windhoek and we don't have a CEO.
There's an acting CEO.
No. Acting is because of actors that this country is falling apart. An actor, if you watch movies,
of course,
actors do not take actions. They are joking. You cannot even hold an actor accountable. Just like in the movies. How long are we going to have actors? Acting this, acting that, acting. Who are we going to hold responsible to things? We are so wrong in this country that we have come and settle political scores on serious administration issues. And the city of Windhoek has not, even from this council that has come, has not availed any land. I'm one of the people who have applied land. And I've been waiting for 20 years. I don't own properties in Windhoek. And Oshirongoshi is Oshomithe. It's irony. I don't own any property. A German who has killed me owns how many acres of land? A person from Oshivelo owns how many acres of land? You understand? These people are playing. You can't play with people's emotions. Where I am renting, I must pay bills. But I'm not entitled to own a piece of land that I can call my own. The only land I can own is a graveyard that I must also be buried on top of the next person. How cruel is these people? So the municipality issue, we have not seen any progress in the city. It's just talks. And we are now at the 6th month for this year. We don't see radical change. I don't know what these people are afraid of. And you must be careful. People do not understand politics very well. You want me to go into a coalition with IPC, and the means of production when it comes to Windhoek is owned, unfortunately, by white people. And the white people went in big numbers to vote for IPC. And when we table the issue of availing land to the poor, IPC will say no. Swartbooi is as useless as it can be. It will never support that. Those are 9 seats. 9 votes are gone. How are you going to allocate land to the poor people? We must go back to the drawing boards and start occupying land. I support that. We just have one, even next month, we can even start a campaign and say, this month we are going to occupy an open land, because it seems to me that the municipality is difficult to find land. But the people who are not engineers and us, the poor people, are very good at identifying land. And we can identify land and occupy it and live in it. These people must not play around with people's emotions. You cannot use a land politics to get into power. Then you sit idle. Our mayor is one of the land activists. Today he sits in those cozy seats. I think I must also pay him a visit because he's a personal good friend of mine. I think I must pay him a visit. He cannot be as comfortable as he can be. Look, time is not our side. The Rehoboth mayor is no more. May his soul rest in peace.
Yes.
He has done a lot of wonders. He has fought and made a lot of enemies to defend the rights of the people, as much as the mayor of Windhoek has done. Get the actions done. Maybe tomorrow we might not wake up, but what are we going to leave behind to our children?
Of course. Commissar, thank you very much for making the time to come on.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for tuning in. Please do stay tuned for the weather and enjoy your evening.